What if I told you that the universe has been communicating with you this entire time, but most people never learn to recognize the signals? Every moment, every strange coincidence, every deep feeling of intuition is proof that you are connected to something far greater than yourself. Most people move through life without ever realizing that the universe is constantly responding to their energy, shaping their reality based on the thoughts and emotions they emit. But you're different. You felt it, haven't you? That unshakable sense that something beyond the physical world is guiding you, that there's an invisible force aligning events, people, and opportunities in ways that seem too perfect to be random. One of the first signs is synchronicity, those moments when everything seems to align perfectly, almost as if reality itself is bending to create the right circumstances for you. You think of someone, and suddenly they call you. You ask for guidance, and a message appears in the most unexpected way. You're struggling with a decision, and the exact answer presents itself through a book, a conversation, or even a song playing at the right moment. The deeper your connection to the universe, the more frequently these moments occur. But here's the thing, most people ignore them. They brush them off as chance, refusing to see the deeper meaning behind them. But the moment you start paying attention, reality begins to shift. You start realizing that life is not random at all, it's responding to something within you. How many times has the universe been trying to reach you, but you weren't listening?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
Then there's intuition, that feeling that doesn't come from logic but from something deeper, something ancient. It's that instant knowing before your mind has time to analyze. You sense when someone is lying, even if their words are perfect. You feel when a situation is wrong, even when everything appears fine on the surface. You get a sudden urge to take a different path, and later realize you avoided something terrible. This isn't just luck, it's a direct connection to the intelligence of the universe. The modern world teaches people to ignore this gift, to rely on logic alone, to doubt themselves. But every time you listen to that inner voice, it leads you exactly where you need to be. And every time you ignore it, you realize later that it was right all along. How many times have you felt something in your gut, dismissed it as irrational, and regretted it? What if that voice is the universe speaking through you? And then there's the feeling that you don't quite belong in this world. This is one of the most powerful signs of all. You see things differently. You ask questions that others never even think to ask. You crave something more, something beyond material success, beyond social expectations, beyond the distractions that keep most people asleep. You feel like an outsider, like you're living in a world that wasn't designed for you. And the truth is, you are not meant to be like everyone else. You are here for something greater. The universe is waking you up because you have a role to play. You are not here to blindly follow the path that society has set for you. You are here to create your own. And while this path can feel lonely, while it can make you feel disconnected from those around you, the moment you embrace who you truly are, everything changes. The right people start appearing. The right opportunities find you. And you realize that you were never lost, you were just being prepared for something far bigger than you ever imagined. There's a reason why you've always felt different, why the ordinary world never fully made sense to you. It's because you're not here to live like everyone else. You've probably noticed that the deeper your awareness grows, the harder it becomes to tolerate meaningless conversations, shallow relationships, and the distractions that keep people trapped in cycles of repetition. The more connected you are to the universe, the more you crave truth, depth, and authenticity. You start feeling drawn to things that expand your consciousness, certain books, philosophies, ancient teachings, or even time alone in nature, where the noise of the world disappears and something deeper calls to you. This isn't random. When you begin to wake up, the universe starts pulling you toward the knowledge and experiences that were meant for you all along. And the more you follow this pull, the stronger it becomes. But this also comes with a cost. The deeper your connection grows, the harder it becomes to relate to those who are still asleep. You may feel like an outsider, like no one truly understands you. You may even question whether something is wrong with you. But the truth is, you are not meant to fit into a system that was never built for people like you. You are meant to lead, to see beyond the illusion, to operate from a higher state of awareness. And once you accept this, everything starts to make sense. There's another sign that's even harder to ignore. You've noticed that when you're in a certain state, calm, aligned, deeply present, things start happening in ways that defy logic. You think of something, and it manifests. You set an intention, and the universe responds faster than ever before. People call this luck, coincidence, or even some mystical force, but it's none of those things. It's simply how reality works when you're in alignment. Most people are constantly scattering their energy, lost in distractions, worried about the past, anxious about the future. But when your mind is clear, when your emotions are stable, when you are truly present, you enter into a flow state where the universe responds instantly. And once you've experienced this, it becomes impossible to unsee. You start realizing that your thoughts, emotions, and energy are not just personal, they are the building blocks of the reality you live in. And whether you use this power consciously or unconsciously, it's always working. The question is, are you using it in your favor? Or are you letting old fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs shape your world for you? Then comes the final, and perhaps the most undeniable sign. You've gone through things that should have broken you, but somehow they didn't. You faced pain, loss, or even moments where you questioned everything, yet instead of destroying you, these experiences shaped you. You've noticed that every time something was taken away, something greater eventually replaced it. Every time you thought you had reached your limit, you discovered strength you didn't even know you had. This isn't by accident. People who are deeply connected to the universe go through intense challenges, not because they are unlucky, but because they are being prepared. The universe doesn't waste time refining those who are meant for an ordinary life. It puts the strongest souls through the hardest trials because they are meant to rise above, to break cycles, to become something more. And at some point, you start realizing that nothing is happening to you, it's happening to you, it's happening for you. Every setback, every heartbreak, every moment of struggle was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. And once you truly understand this, fear disappears. You stop seeing obstacles as problems and start recognizing them as part of your transformation. You stop resisting the flow of life and start trusting that everything is happening exactly as it should. Because deep down, you've always known you are not here just to exist. You are here for something much greater. And then there's the undeniable shift that happens when you finally stop resisting who you are. You start noticing that the more you trust the universe, the more effortlessly things begin to align. The right people enter your life at the perfect time. Opportunities arise out of nowhere, and even challenges seem to push you exactly where you need to be. This isn't luck. It's the direct result of surrendering to the flow instead of forcing things to happen. Most people live in a constant state of struggle, trying to control everything, chasing things that aren't meant for them, forcing paths that only lead to frustration. But when you're deeply connected to the universe, you stop chasing and start attracting. You realize that what's meant for you will always find you when you are in alignment. This is why things fall apart when you try too hard to hold on to them: relationships, jobs, friendships, even identities you've outgrown. Everything that is not in resonance with you will eventually collapse, not as punishment, but as a redirection. And the moment you stop resisting this process, life becomes effortless. You stop seeing change as something to fear and start recognizing it as guidance. Another thing that becomes impossible to ignore is the way you affect people without even trying. You've probably noticed that people naturally open up to you, even strangers. They tell you things they've never told anyone else. They seek your presence when they need clarity, even if you don't say a word. This is because your energy itself is different. It carries a certain calmness, a depth that most people aren't used to. And whether you realize it or not, your presence alone shifts the energy of any space you enter. But this also comes with challenges. You may find yourself drained around certain people, especially those who are disconnected from themselves. You may attract those who are lost, who seek your light but don't know how to give anything in return. And if you're not careful, you might take on their energy without realizing it. This is why boundaries become essential. Not everyone is meant to have access to you. The more connected you are, the more you have to protect your energy. Some people will misunderstand this. They'll call you distant, detached, or even selfish. But this is not about isolation. It's about preservation. You cannot pour into others if you are depleted. And the moment you start honoring your own energy, you'll notice that the right people, the ones who uplift you rather than drain you, will naturally come closer. And finally, there's the realization that nothing external can ever truly fulfill you. You've probably noticed that even when you achieve something you once thought would bring happiness, the feeling never lasts. The excitement fades, and you find yourself looking for the next thing. This is because true fulfillment has never been about external achievements, relationships, or material success. It has always been about connection to yourself, to the universe, to something beyond the temporary highs and lows of life. Most people spend their entire existence chasing happiness in the wrong places, believing that once they reach a certain goal, find the right person, or attain a certain status, they will finally feel complete. But you've already started to see through this illusion. You've realized that everything external is fleeting, and that real peace comes from within. And once this realization fully sinks in, nothing can shake you anymore. You stop chasing, you stop seeking validation, and you start living with a sense of inner freedom that most people will never experience. Because when you are truly connected to the universe, you don't need anything outside of yourself to feel whole. You already are. And then something even deeper happens. You stop fearing the unknown. Most people live their entire lives trying to predict, control, and plan every detail, terrified of uncertainty. But when you're truly connected to the universe, you realize that uncertainty is not something to fear. It's where all possibilities exist. You stop needing to have all the answers, and instead you start trusting that the answers will come exactly when you need them. You begin to see that every moment of hesitation, Every delay, every unexpected detour was never an obstacle. It was timing aligning itself in ways your mind couldn't yet comprehend. You start remembering times when you thought you had lost something, only to later realize it was never meant for you. You recall moments where things didn't go as planned, only to later see that what you received was far greater than what you had originally wanted. When you reach this level of awareness, anxiety disappears. You no longer operate from desperation, from fear of missing out, from the belief that you must constantly chase life before it slips through your fingers. You realize that nothing that is truly meant for you will ever require you to beg, to force, or to suffer for it. And because of this, you move differently. You radiate a calmness that others notice but don't understand. You no longer react to chaos because you know that chaos only exists for those who are disconnected from themselves. Then you start noticing something even stranger. Your energy is affecting not just people, but reality itself. You think of someone and they reach out. You focus on something and opportunities appear out of nowhere. You shift your internal state and suddenly external circumstances follow. This is not magic, this is alignment. Most people believe that reality is something separate from them, something that happens to them. They don't realize that their energy, their thoughts, their emotions are all shaping the world around them in ways they can't yet see. But you've already begun to experience this. You've noticed that when you are in a state of fear, doubt, or negativity, everything around you mirrors that energy. Things go wrong, obstacles appear, people react to you differently. And when you shift into a state of calm, clarity, and certainty, suddenly everything flows effortlessly. This is why energy is everything. It's why people who operate from fear seem to attract endless problems, while those who move with confidence and inner peace seem to have life unfold perfectly for them. The universe isn't rewarding or punishing anyone, it's simply responding. And once you fully understand this, you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop trying to control others, to prove yourself, to fight against circumstances that are only reflections of your own state of being. Instead, you shift internally first, knowing that everything external will follow. And then one day, without even realizing it, you wake up and feel different. The things that used to stress you no longer have power over you. The opinions of others no longer dictate your decisions. The fears that once held you back seem distant, almost laughable. You realize that nothing outside of you has changed, it's you who has changed. You feel a deep sense of peace, not because life is perfect, but because you no longer need it to be. You recognize that everything is temporary, the highs, the lows, the successes, the failures. And instead of resisting this, you embrace it. You stop clinging to what was, stop worrying about what will be, and start fully living in what is. And in that moment, you understand something most people will never grasp. Happiness was never something to be found. It was something you had access to all along. And the moment you stop searching for it outside of yourself, you realize it has always been within you.